Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, and it's Monday, which means it's time for one of our viewer specials. If you are new to the channel or this series, then welcome. And we do this every single Monday here on the channel. We showcase replays from you all, the viewers. If you're interested in getting in on this and having some of your games featured, then you're going to want to head down to the description below. One of the links there is an invite link to our Discord server, the Hexlexplex. There you can drop your 9-digit player ID in the viewer special channel, and that way I can see your publicly saved replays. If there's one you specifically want me to watch for the special, then you're going to want to leave your opponent's name, date, and time of the game, a screenshot, something where I can tell that's the duel that you want me to see. But that's pretty much how we do it. Like I said, we do this every single week, so there's plenty of opportunities to get your games in. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some of the replays we've got lined up for this week. Okay, our first duel comes to us from Logan, aka Deadly Swing 215 over on the Discord server. So we're going to be taking a look at a canine variant that I haven't encountered yet myself, and that is going to be canine paired with Dracotail. And it's more than just the Izana Lupus package. We are actually playing some Jokels, Lantern, and an Arroy, as well as some more rank 5s in the extra deck. I have seen Dracotail around with just the Izana and Lupus, but this is definitely a much more dedicated canine build, which looks pretty cool. And let's see, our opponent looks like they're going to be on a branded Dracotail deck. A little bit more by the books, but I'm definitely interested in this variant here. Yeah, Canine is definitely the new, like, Mitsurugi slash Fiendsmith, in that just a really strong engine that you could play as the main focus of a deck, but also slots very well into a lot of existing strategies. Alright, so our opponent's going to hit us with the standby phase Fuelos, but we've got the Ash Blossom all ready for that. So no need to worry about giving them draws here. We've got the Rahus and the Jokel. We're going to normal summon the Jokel. That'll let us add Izana, which we can then special summon because they've activated Fuelos this turn. Izana can dump the Lupus. Lupus also gets to activate, which means it'll revive and overlay with the Jokel in order to be able to go into the Canine 17 Ripper. Now Ripper gets to activate, detaching the Lupus to add a case for Canine, and also setting the Force Release. And now we're starting to see how this extended canine package can come up so easily, right? It's not just like you have to open Jokel plus a 5. Here, because our opponent used an effect from hand, it basically made the whole canine engine live. And we still have the Rahu Dracotail in hand, ready to go to access that engine as well. Alright, we are going to get hit with the Magnum Hut here. They're going to banish the Lanterns out of the graveyard, which is totally fine, honestly. Really not that big of a deal. Nosh Knight gets to absorb the Magnum Hut here, which is honestly pretty poor timing on our opponent's part in that regard. Now we're going to go into the Sea Xyz Nosh Knight, which of course will then go into our 104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. Alright, now we can activate the Rahu Dracotail. That's going to send Phimena from deck as well as Magnum Hut from the hand, and that'll let us fuse into the Arthelion. Now we have the Arthelion in play, and we can also add the Phimena back to our hand. Phimena additionally gets to set another Dracotail spell or trap card. In this case, it's going to be the Ketu to further extend our plays. Flipping up the Ketu Dracotail, that'll let us add the Malulu. And now we can activate Phimena's effect, fusing the Malulu with the Arthelion that's on board. And that's going to let us not only go into the Golemel, but of course now we get to set off the Malulu's effect too. And that'll set up the Dracotail Flame. So yeah, we've got the Umbral Horror Monster Negate, we've got the Ripper Negate, we've got the Flame Spell Negate, we've got the Golemel Pop. We also set up the Force Release as well. Very, very good board here. Alright, they're going to go for their own Ketu Dracotail, which we're going to negate right away with the Dracotail Flame. That'll let us shuffle back the Phimena and get us a draw as well. Or not shuffle back, it puts it on the bottom, I believe, but They're going to follow up with a Rahu that's going to fuse Phimena and Orgola into their own copy of Arthelion. Now Arthelion gets to activate as well as both the Phimena and the Orgola here. Orgola also gets to pop. It's probably going to end up destroying the card that our opponent knows is force released, but what's cool here is that we can not only activate our own Arthelion, but by doing so we've also triggered our Golem to activate, which can pop their Arthelion. Orgola is going to set Horn, and they actually end up popping a case for Canine. Yeah, they definitely should have tried to go for this one, because they should know that that's force release, but maybe they just forgot. Okay, they're going to add back the Phimena, and sure enough, it looks like they don't have any more follow-up plays. Can't use Phimena to fuse when there's only one other card in hand. Arthelion's going to try to revive here, but we can just use the Ripper in order to negate that. We didn't even need to use the force release for the hand rip here, it's kind of insane. But even if our opponent had the ability to fuse, we could have chained force release earlier and potentially use the hand rip to disrupt that. Alright, they're going to use Horn to banish the Arthelion. Normally it would be a bounce, but Arthelion was revived by its own effect, so it's going to be a banish here. And in spite of that, we're still able to inflict a lot of damage there. Gonna summon the Izuna, make another Ripper. And now we're going for the force release. I do think that we should have done that during the battle phase, unless it says during main phase only. It is during the main phase. Okay, that's what I would have assumed if we were able to do that, it would have been a pretty easy play to make, so yeah. Alright, so we get to not only make the Werewolf, but the Zeus as well. You got an Imperm set on top of that. We're going to try to use Ketu again, and we're going to chain the Werewolf in an attempt to, I assume, banish the Phimena out of the hand. No, we're going to go for the Raku. That actually does make more sense here, because if we ripped Phimena, they could just add another one, right, off the Lucius anyway. We're going to fuse Phimena and Pan into Arthelion. Arthelion's going after our monsters this time, but we do have the Imperm to put a stop to that. So there's that. They get to summon back their Arthelion, set a couple of cards, one of which could include a new Rahu. It looks like we're going to go for Lupus plus Izuna to make another rank 5, rather than committing to like a Zeus board wipe here. There's Arthelion. Pan's gonna set Rahu, which is expected. Also popping the Zeus, which is expected. Phimena's gonna set Horn. And there goes the negate. The Izuna and Lupus both get to activate here. The Lupus is obviously gonna be the more important effect. Let's go for that rank 5. Which is gonna end up being the Canine Hound. Not a bad rank 5 to go into when you're in a situation like this. The Canine Hound cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect, and will get stronger with each effect activated. And now that Arthelion has already been activated, I don't know if Canine actually has a way of removing this card. Golem certainly can't do it. They could do it with the Horn that they just set. But that would have to be during our next turn, because of course, they can't use it the same turn they set it. Lucius is going to set Sting. Going to keep boosting the attack of our Canine 0/0 Hound. Ketu's already been used, so that's fine. And it looks like they're going to fuse yet again with Phimena, fusing away the 2 Arthelions into the Philia Regis. That's going to end up banishing the Canine Werewolf. And they're going to crash Golemels. But all they have left at this point is Sting plus Horn. And they're only at 600 life points. So even if they use Horn to bounce Hound, yeah, all we need is like any monster we can normal summon pretty much, and we're good to go. Yeah, we're forcing the Horn to be used right away. That definitely makes sense. Really gonna have to hope they don't peel an Ash Blossom here. That would be so brutal if they just like top decked Ash Blossom as that last card there. But nope, we're going to go for the Ketu. That's going to add the Lucius. It looks like we're in the clear. Lucius will normal summon, add 5 mana, and then we can just move to battle phase and swing in for lethal. Good stuff. Excellent game to start off with. A very intense back and forth. And on top of that, we got to see how well these two archetypes work together. Even if it might not seem like it on the surface, K9 is just so splashable in so many different things. All right, thank you very much for that one, Logan. Let's go ahead and go into our next duel. All right, this next game coming to us from Boy Inyaki is going to be with another K9 variant that I haven't tried yet, but I do have a lot of interest in. That's going to be K9 Orcust. There is a lot of pretty natural synergy here between the fact that K9 is so good at putting bodies on board, which Orcust can always make use of, but more specifically, we can make River Stormer for Scrap Recycler to start dumping our Harpour into the graveyard. So not only is this an instance of K9 being an incidentally good engine, but there is, again, some natural synergy here too. And for this game, it looks like we're up against K9 Vanquish Soul, teching some pretty interesting cards here. I've seen this like kind of meme tech around a little bit, the Eye of Truth, used against, you know, like Vanquish Soul and other, I think some of the K9 cards have to reveal as well. No, I'm thinking of Norroy's effect, but the idea here is for Vanquish Soul, they can't reveal cards if their hand is already revealed. I don't think this is the most effective tech, to say the least, but it is certainly interesting, if nothing else. All right, let's dive into this going second game here. So let's see what our opponent's opening is going to look like here. All right, we've got double Fua. We love to see that. They're going to fire off a Perulia. I imagine, you know, in anticipation of like an Izuna or something. I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I think it's really hand dependent whether you would use a Perulia during your own turn 1 draw phase. Alright, so we're going to Roy, or they're going to Roy rather, we're going to Fua, they're going to cross out. We have the second Fua in anticipation of that though. They're going to chain Holly Sue, revealing their last card to be Dr. Madlove. Interesting. Okay. Holly Sue's gonna summon. So they need a fire monster in hand to be able to summon from deck. Let's see if they're able to get that here. Noroi for Jokul. Jokul's gonna activate, letting them add an Izuna. Izuna gets to activate here. That'll dump Lupus. Now Lupus will revive. We're gonna Ghost Spell that. That interaction is why I still really like Ghost Spell in this meta. It's like, yeah, lower impact hand traps might not be quite as good right now, but Ghost Spell, for its ability to stop the Lupus, I still really like. Okay, they're just going to end up making Rock of the Vanquisher, and then using that to bounce the Holly Sue. No, they're going to special summon the Dr. Madlove. Okay. And then get the field spell, Vanquish Soul Start. Will activate. We're gonna add Caesar Valiance. That's fine. That's totally fine, yeah. Noroi send itself to look at our hand. And then they're gonna try to add with Ripper. We're gonna use the Imperm here. And that should be everything from them, right? Yeah, okay. Alright, that's not too bad. Our opponent left us in a pretty good spot as far as what we have to play through here. We're going to begin with normal summon Harpour. Going to add back with the Rock, and then now they're going to use the Caesar Valius effect to remain unaffected. Too bad they didn't do that a little bit sooner. We could have normal summoned Jokul, but there probably wasn't a sequence where we could force them to do that, right? But now we can use the Sirius that we discarded off the Galatea to revive, as well as, of course, Orchestrated Babel and the Harpour that's in the graveyard. That is going to get negated by the Ripper, but we kind of already anticipated something like that would probably happen. At the very least, the Ripper no longer has any materials, and I think that using Harpour there was still correct, for sure. You gotta force that Ripper effect at some point, right? You can't just let it sit on the field and, you know, have to play around it forever. Now we can go Nightmare Phoenix into Mermaid. That'll summon out the Orcust Nightmare. And then we're going to go into the Link to Galatea, the Orcust Automaton. Now we can put back the Harp Horror that's banished, setting the Crescendo, the counter trap, Omni-Negate. Galatea I is going to revive by banishing the Harp Horror. Orcust Nightmare gets to dump the World Wand, which can in turn then revive the Orcust Nightmare or the Harp Horror. Either way, really. And then now we're going to turn everything into Enlil Girsu? Yes, Enlil Girsu. Oh, I guess we could put Orcust Nightmare back into the deck with Enlil Girsu. Okay, our opponent's going to summon this Halisu here, which is totally fine. Oh, and then a Lupus. They want to make a ranked 5. I see. But now we can just steal Lupus, right? And then they can't make a ranked 5. We're going to go for the Ripper. And let's see what they end up making. We're going to go for Jax. Jax for the Destroy here. Destroying their own Ripper, but then we get to chain Force Released on their Ripper. That's why we took it. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. You were one step ahead of me. I wasn't even thinking about that. And then we're going to make our own Jax, which will destroy their Jax. No, we're going to destroy their Jax with our Force Release, and our Jax is going to destroy their Rock. Now, we can't battle over the Valius, which was also unaffected, so we couldn't pop it with Jax either. Okay, they're going to go for the Vanquish Soul start. Thankfully, the Enlil Girsu steal effect doesn't actually target. So we're going to use Crescendo to negate and banish the Borger. So that way the Valius doesn't get bounced. And then we're going to take it. Yep. Start does still get to add because it already targeted it as part of the cost. So they can still normal summon Raisin here. Raisin for Xiaolong. Now they have a Dark and a Fire, but it's not really going to be enough with the Raisin alone here. Yeah, they can pop their own Valius, summon Xiaolong, go into Rock. Rock, add back Valius, and then bounce Xiaolong, summon Caesar Valius. Is that what they're going to do, I wonder? Yeah, looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. Okay, there's that. Battling over Enlil Girsu, sure, whatever. Okay. Yeah, Enlil Girsu is just going to get to activate there. This all is going to get to activate here. We get the Harp Horror, we get the Galatea I, all during the end phase. Of course, thanks to our field spell, the Orchestrated Babel. Galatea I revives. Harp Horror is going to summon out the Girsu. Going to send away the Caesar Valius. Girsu gets to activate dumping Symbol Skeleton. Galatea I can dump Jokul, add World Wand. And then we're going to go into our turn. We can even still normal summon Noroi here, because they do have 2 cards in hand. Now we can use Galatea I on our turn to dump the World Wand that we added, getting it back into the graveyard, and thus back into circulation. And then now we're going to get the World Crown. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so Halisu, they have a Dark and an Earth, right? No, it's Dark and Fire, so they can summon from deck. I think Xiaolong's in hand? Yes, okay. We're gonna summon a Raisin and pop the Jax. Oh, you know what? They could also Valius bounce Halisu and get a pop there as well. Our opponents actually set themselves up pretty well here. Looks like that is exactly what they're about to do. Despite how well our opponents set themselves up, I feel like we do still have the advantage in this situation. We can use Crescendo's Graveyard effect to search out the Orcust Nightmare. Now we're going to go for a Link 3. It's going to end up being the Long Girsu. Pointing to the Caesar Valius, that way we can use the effect in order to send it. Now we can revive the Galatea I, banishing Girsu. And we're going to overlay the Ding on top, it looks like. Yep, there's the Girsu. Ding effect gets to activate. We're going to send away the Vanquish Soul start. World Wand's going to activate, reviving the Banish Enlil Girsu, which can then put back the Crescendo, or add it back, rather. And then now we can steal the Raisin. It looks like that's going to be enough for lethal. Yeah, Orcust just has infinite extension through its graveyard so much of the time, and this was an excellent example of that. Being able to win the grind game even with like 0 cards in hand half the time. Good stuff. Alright, we got time for one more game. Let's finish off with that one. Okay, our final game comes to us from CJ Scott, who's playing Synchron in the Dice Rally, and in particular is showing off a combo line, and also it talks in their post about using Righty Driver as a starter. You can use Righty Driver for a Lefty Driver, which can then synchro into level 3 Scrap Warrior, which can then full combo by searching something like, you know, Synchro Fellowship, or really any number of things that can go into your Synchron plays. So I'm always on the lookout for new Synchron combo lines. One of the things I really like about this deck is that there are so many different ways to combo with Synchron. It's a really wide open strategy, and I love it for that. Alright, looks like our opponent is going to be on a more pure version of Live Twin. Remember again that this is the Dice Ride, but it looks like there is some Fiendsmith stuff in there as well. Alright, yeah, like I said, I'm pretty eager to see what this combo line looks like. The Synchron deck was pretty much untouched when it came to banlist hits in the Dice Rally. So whatever combo line is shown here should be one-to-one applicable to, you know, the regular ranked ladder as well. Alright, so we've got Full Speed Warrior and Synchro Fellowship. We love to see those. Gonna normal summon Full Speed Warrior. That's gonna get met with an Effect Veiler, which is honestly fine, because it would have added Synchro Fellowship anyway. Well, it would have if it wasn't in our hand. Since we already had it, it probably would have added Junk Signal, I have to imagine, or something like that. But we can still get a search for an effect like that, or a card like that, off the Scrap Warrior that we're about to summon here as well. Alright, there's the Scrap Warrior, and then sure enough, we are going to add the Junk Signal to help protect our Junk Speeder as we combo. Now we can banish Fellowship, reduce the level, give us an extra normal summon for a Synchron. That's going to be Junk Synchron, which will sync with the now level 2 Scrap Warrior in order to make the Junk Speeder. Junk Speeder gets to activate, and looks like we're playing Wheel Synchron for the level 5 option, which I don't think I have in my build if I remember right. But again, that's just kind of like, just for the way I'm comboing, I don't use Wheel Synchron. It's definitely a really good card in Synchron, and like I said, there's so many different ways to combo. For example, I'm not using Martial Metal Marcher either, but we can use that here to revive the Revolution Synchron, and then it looks like we're going to tune it with the Wheel Synchron in order to make Omega. Is that because of the Martial Metal Marcher effect? It is a face up, or is the Wheel Synchron? I'm just a little confused that we use 2 tuners for that. Can target a tuner in your graveyard, special summon, but negate its effects. Treat as a tuner while face up on the field. That must have been something that I'm missing there. Yeah, send. Okay. Oh, wait, duh. It's just, I should have just read Wheel Synchron. Okay. I mean, yeah, that would be the reason why Wheel Synchron is so good, right? Its versatility for being either a level 5 tuner or a non-tuner. That is especially good when you're summoning it off Junk Speed and you don't have any other bodies on the field. Sometimes it can be a little bit awkward to combo because you don't have enough non-tuner bodies, but the Wheel Synchron can definitely help with that. Yeah, it's just not a card that I've played in Synchron recently, so I just had to get a little bit used to it there. Alright, we're going for Stardust Dragon, syncing that with the Stardust Synchron to make Crimson Dragon. Now Crimson Dragon gets to activate as well as the Assault Synchron in order to revive the Excel Stardust. And Stardust Trail gets to revive off of its own effect here too. And then Crimson Dragon, of course, will be adding the Synchro Rumble. We're going to banish in order to reduce the level of the Excel Stardust Synchro, yet another perk of the Wheel Synchron, and we're going for the Shooting Quasar Dragon. Summon the old-fashioned way off of all Synchro monsters whose levels total to 12. Now we can make the Excel Synchron with the Trail. That'll let us summon a level 1 token here too. We're going to bump up the level, it looks like, of the Excel Synchron by 4, making it level 9. That'll let us make the Bestial Dispater. Guard Rose Maiden's going to get to activate here, and that'll revive the Stardust Dragon. Plus, we can use the Synchro Rumble to revive the Stardust Synchron. And now Crimson Dragon is going to let us summon a new level 12. That's going to be the Cosmic Blazar Dragon. And we're going to sync for 12 yet again here with a Crimson Dragon. To make another 12, I assume, on our opponent's turn. Dissipator is going to revive Omega. This will give us yet another hand rip. Wow, and we still have the junk signal plus our hand traps here. Sure enough, here's Crimson Dragon, targeting the shooting Quasar. This time we're going for the Stardust Sifir Divine Dragon. So now our board can't be destroyed by card effects, the first time at least. And we have multiple negates. 2 of them are Omni negates and then the Dissipator as well. That's a pretty insane setup, and don't forget that we had multiple hand rips with the Omega on top of that. And we can tell from the cards that got banished that hugely impacted what our opponent was able to do here. We're gonna double hand rip them again. Get like that Simpsons quote. Stop, stop, he's already dead. He's already dead. Going in with our multi-attack, 4,000 attack dragon monsters. We're even going to negate the imperm that our opponent's throwing out here. And there's lethal with the shooting Quasar Dragon. Excellent stuff. Alright, thank you so very much, not only to CJ Scott, but also to everybody who submitted. Even if you didn't get featured, you know, there's always the next week and the week after that, so on and so forth. And really, without any submissions, we could not do this series, which I love that we get to do this every single week. So thank you all very much for submitting and for showing your awesome duels. Like I said, though, that's going to do it. We're going to move now to our outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.